Hey, Dexter. Dexter.
Sorry, I had to pick up kids.
So,
Right now. What afterwards? Let's do it.
for some reason, YouTube has decided to change the link, and so this is our live link, but no one, I can't get these to connect, so we have a different link, and
Can you post something on the link?
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. Can you email me the new link right now?
Yeah. It's off.
Well then, that would explain.
It would.
We don't need that mic there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can pull that because we're not doing Q&A.
Alright.
Why don't we just grab that?
Well, that's very delayed. That's so delayed.
It is. Pink duct tape solves everything.
How about we just have someone who does sign language? Yeah. Because every BCS family knows how to speak sign language.
That could work.
Look, he's a vampire. He's there, not.
He is a vampire.
So are we still trying to get it to work properly?
Yes. Hold down the, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to find your way to a seat up front, we'll begin in just a moment.
You can press the full screen button there.
I'm sorry.
The full screen button there in the lower left.
Got it. Welcome, plenty of space up front. Please don't be shy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Beautiful evening. I'm so sorry that we didn't set up the chairs and the screen outside. That clearly would have been the right move. But for those of you who are ski hounds, no sadness, as apparently Stowe got half a foot 2 nights ago. So I think we're still good for skiing and for lovely Valley Ride. Welcome, thank you so much for coming this evening. Very exciting evening. We're thrilled to have you. For those of your family members who might be interested and couldn't make it this evening, Jamie, our tech genius in the front row, is working on the live stream right now up on YouTube, so we should be able to have everything there. We'll also have more information. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So thank you for coming. We've got just a couple people grabbing seats. We'll let them grab a seat, and then I'm going to introduce Brian Leffler, our chair of the board of trustees at Common School. Brian.
So we have an exciting announcement tonight about the future of our school, and I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for coming. This building has been the home of Vermont Common School for as long as it's been a Vermont Common School. And the school had the opportunity to purchase the building in December of 2010. And I think this was the single best financial decision the school has made in the short time we've had a school. And it's similar from when you were being a renter and you went to buy your first home. Buying the school has allowed the school to build an equity position in the school, and our assets are increasing, and the financial stability of the school helps everything having to do with the school. So we bought the school in December of 2010, and we did our first renovation in the summer of 2011, and we did, you all see this every day, we did the computer lab, the commons room right here, which we're in, the lunchroom, and all the HVAC systems. So tonight we're announcing a new project of program enhancement, a building renovation, and a supporting capital campaign. And this current project is the next step in our plan for the school and for this building. The board has unanimous support for the resolution for this campaign, this project, and this building renovation. And the board has collectively donated tens of thousands of dollars to this campaign, which we're going to announce. Even though this is the public announcement of the campaign tonight, there's a tremendous amount of work that's went on behind the scenes already, and I need to thank a few people. I have to thank Jeff Dexter, George Starbuck, Mary, Andrew Furch, and Jill Strawbridge. And then that's enough for me. I'm going to invite Dexter back, and he's going to walk you through the project from start to finish. So thank you very much, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brian. So this fall, in the midst of about 1,000,001 other conversations and things that were coming my way, I started to think about space in the building, and space and how we use our building to deliver our program. And I started to notice some things. You know, it's not what you expect when you're hearing about the school and you pull up the first time and you're going, oh, there's a school here. And it's sort of this interesting, you know, a little bit back off of Route 7. It's got its own space, but then it's sort of in this, you know, complex of working day facilities. And then it's got this beautiful hort farm, and you don't know exactly what to make of it. You're kind of wondering. And then you get into the building and you start to go through the paces of the school day and the community who have embraced it as their school's home. And you find that it's this place that people love. And the alums, they were here in early January, talking about their memory of this place. And they raved about their experience here, and they're so tied to the experience of this building. But at the same time, I got to confess, as the new head, I'm kind of walking around and looking at how we're using the building. And I'm starting to talk to teachers about how we're using it, and I'm noticing a couple of problems or challenges, shall we say. One of which is, you know, on any given day, you find class happening every period in what's really a hallway, kind of right there, and some of the students are laughing because they know if you've got a class in the great room, which is that hallway just out there, then if somebody sneezes over at the front reception desk, you hear it in the classroom. If somebody walks down the tile, you hear it. And so the students do an incredible job, the faculty do an incredible job, but we're a little challenged in how we have to use space. And part of that is our own good fortune. We've grown to a size where our classes are big enough that we can't fit into the old spaces that we used to fit into. Let me get more specific. Jasmine Walker and I did a space use study this fall, and we looked at exactly how every room on this campus is used every period of every day over the course of the whole week. And here's what we found. We have a class going on, and we'll see the table and chairs back there. That's actually a classroom. We have a class going on there every single period of the day, with 1 or 2 exceptions during the week. The great room used as a classroom, that's that hallway every single period of the day, with 1 or 2 exceptions throughout the week. And then we have actual classrooms that essentially lie dormant and unused for the vast majority of the periods during the day because they're too small. You can only fit 8 or 9 people in them comfortably. We don't want to be big. We want to be good at what we do. And we think what we do, we can deliver that to about 120 students in classes of fewer than 16 in a room. But we can't fit into classrooms that can only seat 8. So that started to present the problem. And what are we going to do about that problem? And that started to get a lot of people talking, in sort of these think tank rooms about let's try to solve the classroom space, usage space of this facility for, and then really for forever, and the natural evolution of this building. Let's wrap it up. So one of the other things that we wanted to do is think about, what's the point, the size of our school, what's the mission of our school? And we all kind of know a lot of what we're here about. We're about small class sizes, we're about the size of students, which is what we're zoned for, is also what feels right, because if you get to 240, can you still do encounter weeks and have them mean the same thing? Can you do community meeting every single morning in this room with 240 students? Like, what's lost when you get that big? And so we started thinking about let's make it that this space works forever at the mission that we see we can best deliver 120 students. Now, thus, let me officially announce the campaign, Vermont Common School Campaign for Arts and Science. I want to walk you through the specific details. All right. The campaign is called Enhance, Expand, Evolve. Evolution. Okay, where's Goff? Evolutionary biologist. Okay, so the turtle's right though, right? That's good. We're good on that? Okay, excellent. This is a campaign not about excess, not about doing it over the top. It's about the natural evolution of the school. A modest, restrained campaign to give us what we need. Because, think about it, we're Vermont Commons. Like, what's one of our most important things that we're driving home all the time? Field-based, hands-on, experiential education. So what does a classroom building have to do with that? Well, we want to be out in the field. We're committed to that. Even more than we do it now, we want to be doing more of it. We believe that the classroom walls shouldn't matter, except there are times when they do. And when they do, we want it to be right. We don't want a teacher who, say, is teaching, Chinese 2, to have to teach that class on Monday in one room, and then on Tuesday in another room, and then on Thursday in another room, and then on Friday back to the one on Monday, and trying to find a projector every single period for each of those different rooms. Like, we don't want that. We don't want the restraints of the facility to get in the way of the program. This is our school. We want it to work well. I was thinking about education, small segue here, education in Vermont. Like, what are we doing at Vermont Commons School? Like, what are we about, really? If you think about it, we're kind of the locavore version of school, right? Like, there's this, we kind of reject the notion that there is a national model for education of how it should be done. This is very much the Vermont thing, right? Like, let's not import our food from California. Let's figure out how to grow it here. Let's not import an education system from the national level or from even the state level. Let's hack it and make it our own thing, and let's have a place to do that. What we really want to be about is a culture and a facility that allows a program where our students can live, where they can be engaged in the life of Vermont. What is Vermont Commons about? Making a place where students get to be engaged in the life of the mind and get everything else, all the distractions, all the impediments, all the challenges for teachers and for students out of the way. Just do that thing, do it really well. It's time to do it. Now's the time. It's a great time for 21st century learning. We've examined that as a school. We thought a lot about what that looks like. We thought a lot about how experiential education is essential to that and how we want to be able to move forward and be an incredible school in every way. And we want to stop having any of these impediments that get in the way of our teachers. So, what are our commitments? What do we think in terms of a 21st century experiential education is essential? We have an incredible commitment to the arts at this school. I have never been at a school anywhere in the country that requires a student to take art for a semester every single year. Just in case you think that's normal, well, that ain't normal. Nobody does it. No one. They're electives. You have to take a trimester, or like 4 trimesters, or a semester and a half, depending on what system you're in. Nobody does it all the time. We do it all the time. It matters to us. Creativity, innovation, collaboration, invention, design, inspiration, unlimited thinking. Right? These are all the buzzwords you hear around 21st century and what they tell it. 21st century learning, 21st century skills, the 21st century job marketplace. All of them require the stuff that art gives our students, all of them. So the question is, what is a commitment, a true commitment to art and to all those notions look like? What does it look like? Well, one, you gotta have an amazing staff. Thankfully, there, and there are a few others. I don't know if the others are around, but you gotta have an amazing staff. You gotta have time in the schedule. So Ben, right, art every semester, period. You will take art every semester, period. An expansion of that, you will do arts. You'll see that in 7th, 8th grade, that art is not just studio art now, but it's performing arts. This year it's music. We're expanding that with drama. And the last thing is you gotta have an appropriate space to be able to define your program. Ben's an incredible teacher. It'd be awfully nice if he had light coming into his art room. Just could be a good thing. So we want it to look like this. Okay, at first we want it to look like this, and then we want it to be benefied. Like we want him to do what he does. But the most important thing here is you can see the windows. Okay, that is going to be on that side on the 2nd floor of a new expanded addition to the building, which is to say Ben's going to have light coming in from 2 sides of the building, and he's going to be overlooking Port Farm. And to respect Ben, to respect the students who work with him, he deserves that space. I'm going to ask Ben, come on up, it's hot for just a minute.
That's Davies, right? Is that Davies? I think it is. Ronald Reagan made that in 1040. It's a very important piece of art. All right. I've been in this art studio downstairs for 10 years now. This is going on my 11th year. And instead of 3 sets of windows, I actually have 3 banks of windows. I have a window that overlooks into another window that goes through a classroom. Then it goes into this other bank of windows that looks over maybe 1/10 of an acre of land, probably not even that. I haven't surveyed it yet. But even the squirrels are confused back there. And certainly this does lend itself to, nice lessons in surrealism. Magritte would be impressed. But there is no light. As you know, there's just fluorescence and some LEDs up there. And then I believe also that the air has been recirculating now for 10 years, which causes a problem. I remember my first year that I taught here, I introduced oils on canvas, which was kind of a good idea in that kind of space, but I didn't know that I wanted to impress people like, hey, I paint oil on canvas, you can too. And so we had the canvas and the oils, and I had one very dedicated artist, Addie Livingston. She's not here, and she's wonderful. But anyway, we ran out of supplies. We didn't really have much money, so I started using like olive oil instead of like what you should be using, and which actually doesn't work. Don't use that. We had turpentine. We had real turpentine. We ran out. And Addie knew this, and I wasn't there, and she went next door, and next door, that now it's the computer lab. But it used to be the Encounter Week room, which was in complete disarray. You think the studio's bad. This place was like, you know, let's go to Camel's Hump for the week, and if we can't find enough snowshoes, perhaps we can get some cardboard and some nails, you know, together and hike the mountain, you know, old school, you know, and it was cool. Anyway, I remember when she grabbed actually lighter fluid to cut the oil with it, and I didn't know this. I walked in and like, it smells like lighter fluid in here. What's going on? And of course, she had used that, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to, you know, take care of this situation, which we did. So anyway, as I say, that, you know, there's been so many, you know, when I walk in there, there's so many layers of history there, wonderful, you know, history of the creative process, you know, students exploring whatever they needed to explore, and you see it. I mean, I painted that studio honestly 20 times. It doesn't look like it, but I have. And there's so many layers of cliches, of emotional whatever, you know, like writings on the walls, and some that are not cliches, some very poetic sayings up there too. I'm like, wow, they said that, you know. And then of course all the layers of paint on the floor and what have you. And though obviously there's never been light there. There's never been the idea of exposure, of you know, any type of, you know, something like this. I mean, and I look at it, you know, I really actually can't believe that, you know, studios could look like that. You know, and what's pretty awesome about it is that you have, one might think, oh wait, that's Eastern and Northern, right? Yeah, so it's Eastern and Northern light, which is actually your ideal light in a studio. It's always been known that. Vermeer knew that because it's diffused light. It's not this, you know, like all the time southern exposure, dramatic lighting. You actually do want a diffused light. And you want an Eastern light, too. It's the genesis, it's the beginning, right? Artists have always known this. That is the most important of the light, to begin something new, like this, you know. And, you know, I think it's gorgeous. The idea, too, of new instruction, of what we can do here, the space, what type of classes that it will lend itself to. You know, a place to go to, a comfortable place to go to, a safe space, one that I'm sure has ventilation. I think I see some up there. You know, something's going on up there. You know, and you know that's so important. The only thing I may not have, though, I may not have the rainbow drawn in there. A lot of times the students know I don't allow for drawing. You know, but it is beautiful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this will do. This new dawn, this new era of drawing, of painting, of concepts, you know, of the creative process for the students. So I'm very much looking forward to all this.
Thanks, Bill. Okay. So another thing that is particularly important to us at Vermont Commons School, science. I mean, we pride ourselves on our identity as stewards of the environment. It's in our mission statement. It's, you know, our naturalist graduate certificate has been one of our oldest advanced programs you can do. You know, gosh, it's just science matters here. It's something that we do, we believe in, we are committed to. And as you think about what is needed in today's society in terms of problems, and we need creativity, we need a good art space that can feed into good science space, so that arts, and science, and mathematics, and engineering can combine to sort of look around and solve the problems that are facing us in the world. Now, we have great science staff, incredible science staff, as you know. We have really strong scientific facilities, and this was a water testing facility once upon a time, which is why the biolab is a real lab. And the chemistry lab is fantastic, but there's a missing element there. Physics, so what do you do with physics? Want to know what I saw with physics recently? Okay, Keegan's amazing, and he'll improvise and do incredible stuff, but he was teaching physics one day in the cafeteria last week. And so how did I know that? Because I was still meeting with a student in the cafeteria, and then there were some other students over there finishing up lunch in the cafeteria, and then he's like starting his class. And sometimes it's great because you want like big space. I mean, I've seen them in here when they're going to do some big cool thing where it requires a lot of open. But it's not the ideal ongoing environment. And the other thing is, so you want a physics space. You also want a place where you can do some of the STEM works, science, technology, engineering, math, this sort of integrated problem-solving science space, a maker space, a hacker space, where students can come in and be pulling apart things and building up things and challenging themselves to come up with some new solutions. So, to that end, what do you do with Ben's room when it's vacated? And what do you do with a room that likes it actually be dark because you want to do optics experiments? And where you want to have controlled airflow because, you know, the air pressure experiments are really cool, you turn Ben's art room into a physics STEM makerspace. And it's going to remain exactly that. Are you the neat one, or is Keegan the neat one?
Oh, me.
Yeah, that's, I was going to say. I'm going to ask Peter to come up and talk for just a minute, please.
So way back in the day, I had this little 7th grader, and we were starting our annual Eco Machine construction project. And part of that is you go out into the world and you find genetic seed material for your Eco Machine. And we were digging, before there were condos over there, we were digging in this big, nasty, swampy area. And it was late spring, there was still a little bit of snow on the ground. And she flipped over this big clod of mud, and there was a frog stuck in the mud, frozen. It was just coming out of hibernation. She freaks out. She was about this tall, and she gave me the bandy eyes, and tears were coming down. Kill the frog, kill the frog! I didn't think she killed the frog. She may have killed the frog. But I was trying to calm her down. I pulled the frog off. It was kind of frozen stuff in the shovel. So I pulled it off, and I'm holding it in my hand, and as I'm trying to calm her down, like, Emily, just relax. Okay, the frog is probably, and then I felt it move in my hand. And I said, okay, Emily, I don't know if this is going to work. I'll try. I gave it a little froggy and the warmth of my hand started to thaw it out, and it started to waken, the legs were kicking. She's like, it's alive! It's a frog, okay? So you can do those kinds of things outdoors. And our science program has always gone to bogs and taken advantage of the world around us and telling me how many boots we've lost in Bartlett Brook over there as 7th graders get sucked into the morass. But we can do that. Not long after that, we had a collaborative project with a Chinese school in Nanjing Normal School. And Rob, Skip, and I visited Nanjing, which they told us was just like Burlington. 12 million people, just like Burlington. And so we visited, and their high school was roughly the size of UVM. And the classes were roughly that size, and their infrastructure was a lot like UVM, science infrastructure. So we had a 3-year project with them where we Skyped with them, and we were building Stella models back and forth. And then at the end of that 3-year project, they came to Vermont, the Chinese students and their teachers, and we all went down to an MIT conference. And you should have seen the look on their faces when they pulled into this driveway. And we got out, and they're looking around for the school. And I said, no, that's the school. And they're looking at, I told them there was only 100 kids in the whole school, but they didn't quite kind of grasp what it is we were doing. During that project, we went down to MIT, and we saw firsthand what our science program can do. I had Ian Collier and Ruby Russell and a 7th grade Josh Decatur standing in front of this model. And their partners, one of their partners was the strongest math student in China that year. Not the strongest in their school, in China, which is, it got at least 7 people. And so they're standing, they're talking, this MIT professor comes up and is asking questions about this model, and they said, okay, what happens if your flow rate triples? And this Chinese kid does differential equations in his head and boom, shoots out an answer. And the professor said, oh, that was impressive. He said, what happens if this tank overflows? How are you going to fix that problem? The Chinese kid had no answer for that question. And 7th grade Josh Decatur came up with 16 different scenarios right off the top of his head because he was a creative, innovative problem solver. Our science curriculum succeeds very well at certain things. A couple years ago, I got an NSF grant, and Shannon Wolfstein and Sarah Mueller and I worked with Montana State University and University of Vermont on a whirling disease system, and they were published authors before they graduated from high school. Our science program It's very strong, and it can do wonderful things. We have put Lex Jackson, Eli Holst, and Nora Hill into internships, working in artificial intelligence and engineering programs and ecological labs and organic chemistry labs in UVM, right? This year, Adrian Kelly got an award for an MIT competition for building robotics, not because of this science program, in spite of our science program. He did it all on his own because he had to. We didn't have the infrastructure to deal with it. Hans was not a great science teacher because of the equipment he had. Ruth was a great geology teacher in spite of the fact she didn't have access to a gas chromatograph. Keegan is not a great science teacher because he has a Van de Graaff generator, right? Our science program is not dependent on technology and infrastructure, but we have succeeded in spite of our lack of technology and infrastructure. All of those programs that we did with UVM, we could have done here had we had the infrastructure that we're talking about here. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The success we've had, right? You could say, oh, you know, you've done all these great things. Yes, we have. We've done these great things because we've got curious students and committed faculty members. But again, we have done this in spite of our infrastructure. I would say that this kind of addition to our community is going to allow not just 2 students a year, not just 3 students a year to take advantage of this kind of going beyond the horizons kind of science, but every student to have access to this kind of stuff. In addition to what our current students can do, I know for a fact that students from Essex, shadows from Essex and CVU and Burlington High School sending schools have visited us. They're committed to the sciences and seen what we have, or more appropriately, what we don't have, right? A 3D printer is not going to make or break our science program, but it may get one more kid in the door, right? And say, oh, well, my kid's already in the door. What do I care about some other kid? You care because it creates a community of learners. It creates a community of makers. It creates a community of people that are passionate about the same stuff. It basically builds our geek quotient, which is already pretty high. We want to get it a little higher, right? This is going to be really good for the science program, right? It's going to take a program that's very strong and lively and curious and doing exactly what we want it to do and just make it better for everybody. We really hope you can support it. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Having Peter been up here reminds me why I'm essentially irrelevant, so it's good to have him around. Okay. First floor.
What?
First floor. I don't know if I need to do a ton of explaining on this. Okay, first floor. So where it is right now, drop to the floor. So somebody walks in who has never been here before, but we want them to be here, like, I don't know, a prospective parent of a 9th grader for next year. They will come to the awning and walk in, and they wander, and hopefully Goff or Keegan kind of come out, hello, can we help you? You know what it is. You know what it is. Okay, so part of the package here is to solve this problem that is a glaring one every single time every one of you comes into the building, regardless of which door you come through. We need to have a reception desk and a friendly person greeting every visitor to campus. We need to have a friendly person behind that desk who also controls the entrance to campus through a central entrance electronically locked system, meaning, like, at 8:40, once class has started, and those of us who are rushing because we're a couple of minutes late have gotten onto campus by 8:40, that door closes, they're both locked electromagnetically. The front door is also locked electromagnetically, and if you want to get in, you got to do what every other school in the universe does, which is you got to buzz, and the person back there behind the desk who will be staffed, that desk will be staffed starting August 24th, 7:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. So there will be a person there all the way through the school day, and they can let somebody in or choose not to. So, why be you if you're not nice to them?
Understandably, we have an incredible open culture. We love our open campus, our freedom, the feel that we have. It is what it is. It's 2015, and we know what that is. So we need to do something about being able, just in a very reasonable, non-invasive way, to have control of our campus during the day to provide safety to our students. And also, most importantly, I would say, because this is the day, every single hour of every single day, have a person there meeting and greeting. So just drop that to the first floor. Clarity, warmth, security. Somebody who can facilitate access to the campus. Inexplicably, they put a woman. Mary's comment was she wanted a man there, and I guess they didn't have one. You know, we are gender sensitive here. That's what we got stuck with. I don't know why everybody is grayscale also, but what's that?
They have a halo.
No, that's a stick, I think.
It's a bike.
It's a bike. Oh.
Oh, that's a bike.
There's a bike trip in the back. Yeah. Okay, so this is very nice in general. Those are some of the highlights. Let's get into some of the really nitty-gritty specifics so you can see exactly what we're talking about. Okay. The biggest push here, what are we trying to get done in essentially a modest campaign? And these will be much bigger so you can actually see them, and I'll walk you through them. What we're trying to get done is classrooms. This is about classroom space. No more classrooms in hallways, no more classrooms in a huge, open, expansive room unless you choose to have that class in that room because you want to. So, just a little primer of what you're about to see. Dark green, it's color-coded. That's fun. Dark green is essentially new additional space on the building. So this involves an addition as well as internal renovation. Light green involves interior space that is being reconfigured, and grayscale is essentially what is not being touched. Something that I don't even know what it's saying. Yeah. What this does, what I'm about to walk you through, this gets 100, I said this earlier, but I'm going to explain exactly what it means, 120 students through this building, through the day, through an entire week, in classroom space forever. And what does 120 students look like? That is sections broken down of 16 students or less in each section in a classroom every period of the day. So there is no increase in class. This doesn't accommodate 18 students intentionally. You can't have sections of 18 at Vermont Common School. That's part of our mission anyway. This is built not to handle 18, it's built to handle 16 or fewer. And if you do the sections all the way through, based on some grades being larger than others, then that gets 120 forever. Okay. So, one of the things you're going to notice, we're going to get bigger, is that every learning space is touched or impacted. So this is the first floor. I'm just going to walk you through the specifics really quickly. One of the first things that you're going to notice is a new desktop room when you enter here. So this is first floor when you come into the building. There's a new space right there. That's a door, so that means you can shake off your boots and not carry the snow and salt into the inside. That also lets us lock here, and lock here, and lock down there, and control that from this. This is the new reception desk right here. Okay. You'll note the hallway is bigger because the wall that's there right now is gone. So when you start to walk up through there, this is Ben's art room that becomes now the physics STEM lab. The storage space, the prep room all stays back there, more prep room, hacker space here, maker space. Reception there, access to it, and that becomes our physics lab. The tables, the rendering didn't do a great job. The tables look like they're just kind of stuck. The tables that we're looking at are ones that can both be kind of clamped down and fixed for good optics experiments, and also raised up and moved out of the way so that if you need multiple use space, you've got it right there. Somebody asked in the middle of the campaign, well, are you designing space that can adapt to new learning and teaching methods? And the idea is, yes, we don't want to put in anything that's going to get in the way of new methodologies for teaching that are going to come out in the next 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. And this is thinking about 20, 30, 50 years down the road. Okay, now you'll see at the top, there's this angled thing. That is a 2,000 square foot addition, first and second floor, 2-story addition. That's over there, right? This is on the southeast end of the building. And what you see there is a couple of things have happened. First, this is where I wish I had a laser pointer. I should have got one, sorry. This classroom, the big sort of white one right there above the physics lab, the hallway right now actually is where the door is. That's a tiny classroom. You can squeeze 12 students in there. It's not very comfortable. They can't get up and move around. People use that, but it's not ideal. We move the hallway over, and it becomes as big as Heather's room right now. So it becomes a fully sized teachable space. Christy's room gets impinged on a little bit that way, but goes substantially out there. So Christy's room becomes approximately the size of Jess's math room. And then we get a brand new teaching space, brand new classroom at the very top up there, which could, for example, like Adriana could have a room, or Jennifer could have a room. Okay, sorry, so which is part of the idea here is that faculty not only are not moving from different rooms for one class that they're teaching throughout the week, but that ideally they're getting away from office space and into rooms that they can stay in. Now, there's a weird angle right there coming down. If you're looking at that, you're probably wondering what that is. Okay, so the Hort Farm, or boundary of the Hort Farm, is not actually parallel to our building. It goes at an angle. And we discovered this in the permitting phase, and that's a little indication. We've already been through permitting phase. We've been doing all the work behind the scenes so that we can get this launched effectively. We've been in negotiation with UVM, desperately trying to see if they would sell us a little space so that we could do that. It's up at the senior administrative level right now. It's passed through everything, planning, everybody. We were hoping we were going to have an answer on that before tonight. Right now we don't. If we get it, all it's going to do is just move it up, and we get about 160 more square feet. If we can, we'll go for it. If not, when we found that out, we started retooling interior space to make sure classrooms were maximized for size and efficiency. So that's the first floor. Science wing, right? Chemistry, biology, physics now. So you don't, right now in chemistry, you may not know this. In chemistry classroom, Mark gets to teach occasionally chemistry, but also Adriana teaches Spanish, Jasmine teaches math, and somebody else teaches something else in there. We get away from that, which means that Mark can actually leave chemistry experiments set up. And a lot of the stuff that's being stored for physics in the chemistry lab can now be stored here. So it actually alleviates and impacts facility usage on the other two science rooms. Yeah. Science. Right? You couldn't have come up like 4 minutes ago. Second floor. What does the second floor look like? Arts wing. Boom. Not arts room, arts wing. Room on the left, Ben, happy home with windows. All right. Room on the right, performing arts. And I say performing arts because, you know, we're small, we can't say like, yes, we're gonna have a music program for everybody all the way through all of your classes, we're gonna have a drama. We're gonna do as much of that and continue to expand it in every way we possibly can. But for example, you can't do a theater class if you've got a math class going on in place you would do theater, et cetera, et cetera. You can't do theater class with dedicated things in preparation for a play if you gotta take it down every period for for our community meeting at 9:15 or 9:30 every morning. So, dedicated performing arts space. Arts wing, very nice. And that's right, the great room, sorry, because I know those couches are awesome, we'll probably put them over here, but this becomes art gallery space.
Oh, cool.
So Ben is always putting stuff up. Then you suddenly have like, yes, we put stuff up, come and see the art of our students, which of course we've got it here, but think about it, you've got more formal space for that in place. What else happens? This right now, this is 3 classrooms right now, and the hallway's not here. The hallway is actually, if you recall, it's right here, and there's a bathroom there with a shower. Okay, that's just gone. The bathroom's gone. That goes away. I call this Eagle Room 5 because it sticks out here like this, and we can't use it. It's impossibly long for teaching. I mean, it's like, imagine if you're going to teach in a subway car. Okay? That's what Room 5 is. I mean, it's great for like watching videos after school. I'm not looking at you all that. I'm so sorry. We use this for study hall or at Lies Dorman. We don't use it as a teaching space, so we shave it off here. We move this hallway that is right now here with the mailboxes and all that, we move that over. This becomes a dedicated tutoring center and writing center. And what do I mean by dedicated? If you receive tutoring, or if your child receives tutoring, you may not, well, students know it, the parents may not. It's sort of this like, okay, where's tutoring gonna happen? Sometimes it's like happening in a very cold office at the end of the cafeteria, sometimes it's in the cave, sometimes it's wherever they can find a space. Now, 2 rooms, dedicated, and they're not windows here, it's walled off, you enter in from here, it's a private space for tutoring, and then it's a known designated place. And I hope that it becomes a writing center. If you know about that university model of peers helping each other with their writing, that's one we'd love to reproduce. We're starting to see that in secondary and middle schools all over the country. And then this is the most exciting part, real classrooms. So Heather, her room right now does this. Suddenly, that evil little room that seniors have, I mean, can you actually fit all the senior class? No, okay. There's this tiny room right here. It's just gone. It becomes half Heather's when she gets that bathroom space. That becomes a big room. Not so that we can have larger class sizes, but so that Heather's students, when she's got 14 or 15 8th graders squeezed in there for an hour, they can actually get up and move, which educational brain research tells you that students need to move every 20 minutes in order to keep their attention span focused on the material. So this, she can move. This classroom becomes huge as well. And define huge. Compare, you know how big Jess's is? This is what we call the model classroom, like what a classroom should look like. It's that big. Okay. So what we get then is actually new classroom space. Like what are we trying to get done here? New square footage, so that we have enough places for our students to learn, the program to be delivered. And that is, in its glory, the program. This is not about excess. As a matter of fact, when we started first looking, we had a design a couple of years ago that was glorious and incredible and involved like resheathing the entire front of the building, and the new facade, and putting a glorious greenhouse on the south end, and like very, very cool ideas. Prohibitively expensive. We're not trying to do anything excessive here. We're trying to get the job done so that the students can learn the way they need to, the teachers can learn the way they need to, and we can support our core on-campus programs as they deserve to be supported. One tangent. There was a question of, okay, so you're doing a campaign for this building. Well, why stay in the building? Like, why not just move? And some people are horrified when we ask that because they love this building and they love our site. But people have asked, well, why do it? A couple of things. First, heritage. This is our school. It's always been our school. A lot of parents and community members and board members and friends of the school, some of them in this room, have put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, money, hours, commitment, volunteer, etc., into making this place a school. So there's something about honoring the heritage of where we're from. But let's take it a step further. It's on the bus lines. Did you know that? This site was picked by the Skiffs because it's on the bus lines. It's part of our ecological focus. The intent was that students could take public transport to get here, and some do. Yes, you do that. So that's ecological focus. It's in our mission. And taking the ecological focus a step further, we've looked at let's go build new space. I mean, it's incredible. Anybody got 5 million sitting around? That's like a starting figure. It's incredibly expensive. It's prohibitively expensive. And it's also, there's something about us, if we really mean environmental stewardship, that kind of goes against the grain with that. Like, let's not go find some space out in the country and build a big campus. Let's take a space that is being used and repurpose it and enrich our urban environment and be ecological stewards of a place that's already there. And last but not least, it's central. Were we to move out, I mean, a lot of us are out already. Getting here is a struggle. It might make it really nice for the people in Waterbury if we were like 20 miles to the east. Sorry, I know, I'd love to do it for you. But everyone else would we would lose some of who we are, which is this idea of being central and drawing in from all over the place. So I say this because I want you to understand we've thought through these issues really, really carefully and thoroughly and spent a lot of time on them. And now I've lost my track. Okay. Now the big part. How much? I'm sorry? I just passed over the G's. So glad you caught me. I'll show you. The next one that I shuffled when I was missed my paper says Jamie. I asked Jamie if he would say a few words, and part of this he's the student voice. Part of this he's student leadership, and part of this he was on the board in the planning stages of this, and he has been involved in this. Talk about blood, sweat, and tears. He has put a lot of it into it himself, and I'd love for us to hear from him about how this might impact the student experience. Note, how much is he going to benefit from this other than ideologically? Not a lot. So whatever's going to come out of him really does bring the genuineness.
So I've been a student at Vermont Commons. This is my 4th year. I came in 9th grade, and I actually came on the first year of some pretty major renovations. We got a new computer lab, we got new rooms, we got a renovated lunchroom, and we owned the whole building, which was pretty good. Owned the whole building shortly after I came here, but serious. And so I've seen some structural changes go on, physically in school, but I've also seen administration changes and a whole student body. Like now being a senior, it's kind of crazy because it feels like I'm still in my first week here, but I've loved it so much. It hasn't been like it's gone by so quickly. And something that I really have valued is the community of Vermont Commons and the people that I get to spend my time with, learning and growing and becoming better citizens. And I really feel that these new facilities are going to aid in that so much, because it is, regardless of how much you love Mark's social studies class, being in an 85-degree room that smells like 7th grade, no offense 7th graders, we love you, but it does get challenging to focus for 55 minutes or for a double block and not without a window open, and it gets cold in the winter. And so all of these little things that you didn't really notice were problems, when you have all this extra space, it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that was hampering my ability to learn in this specific way. I didn't know that this would make my life easier or my education more enjoyable. And I hope you don't mind, Mark, if I come back and just use the 3D printer from time to time, or like every day, because say yes.
Our computers for us.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, so even though the senior class won't be able to benefit from these directly, I know that just knowing that having these facilities there for years to come is enough, and I really look forward to seeing what Vermont Commons does with this new space and new opportunities to grow in the future.
Working double duty, doing tech and speaking. Okay, so you're like, yeah, okay, that's great. You're just taking like 40 minutes of my time, Dexter, thanks, but this is how real is this and what's our time frame? Okay. What's our time frame? This summer. Yeah. We want to break ground right before Encounter Week, a little ceremony, because you're going to be away in Encounter Week, and when you come back, you just need this room to survive exams. And we want it done by August 24th so that you come back in to this facility, which is to say every student, sorry, with the exception of the seniors whose really this is your legacy, you can come back as alums and enjoy its splendor and use our 3D printer every day of the week. But every other student here will benefit from this enhancement. How much is it going to cost? Now you're still going, right, how much is it going to cost? Is that really, like, come on. How much is it going to cost? $850,000. AKA less than $1 million. Just so you know, it started at 1.25. And looked at it and said, now strategically they tell you all the guidelines for capital campaigns that you can do 10 times your annual, which would put us at 1.75 million. Ooh, really? We're going to blow $1 million? I mean, we're going to find $1 million? That just feels tough. And so we hacked at it and hacked at it and hacked at it. And when we found that one place seemed like a very logical place to turn into a classroom, which was Steve's office, Linda's office, and the room that you love for watching TV after school but is good for nothing else, the study hall room. We're like, hey, classroom, we'll knock out of the interior walls. And they came back and said, yes, and then you have to raise the ceiling, which actually means raising the floor in the attic, which made it something like $383 a square foot. Ridiculous. Like, just take money and throw it away. It's pointless in doing that. So we hacked and found ways to do this as inexpensively, as frugally, as modestly as we possibly could. And that's where that number comes from. There are some things in that you should know. First, it includes what we call fit up. So you might be looking at that and saying, well, great, Dexter, you're going to do that, but then after that you got to go buy chairs and tables. Oh, no. $850 includes the nice chairs and tables in Ben's room. Invariably, he might want something else, but those are built, the cost of tables and chairs, the cost of the 3D printer, the cost of the projector and speakers, all of that stuff is built into this. We have $200,000 for contingency, so you get a physics lab, not a space that one day could be. There's also $100,000 of contingency built into this. Why? Because construction projects run over, invariably. That's just how it is. So we know that, we've done all the math. We're hoping that it'll come in under budget. What else? Well, we planned it for the summer, and oh yeah, now that the incredulity part sets in. 850,000. You're like, okay, great, whatever. How much have we raised? Okay, so if you haven't done capital campaigns before, one of the things that you may not know is that you do what's called a silent phase, and you try to go raise enough money on the front end before you go public so that you're convinced that you can actually pull it off. Okay, that's where this number comes from. This has been crazy fast work since November, December. We based a great deal of it on design work that had been done by the board and prior boards over the years, looking at the facility and what made sense. And then when we started, we've contacted a lot of you, had meetings, we've been beating the streets, and we're going to continue to do that, but we're thrilled. That means we got to do 245. That's what we got to get. We are committed to getting all of it. We believe that we will. We believe that we'll do it with your help and with the help of everyone you know who you can convince to give to it. A couple of things you should know about that number. I'm just leaving it up there so you can bask in its glory for a little while. Who helped to get that there? 100% of full-time faculty and staff make contributions. Of the Board of Trustees. Brian alluded to that earlier. The Board of Trustees are expected to lead capital campaigns and substantial contributions. You should know that over $100,000 of this is theirs already, and there's more into that with other kinds of support as well. Who else has helped us get, I'm just going to go back because it's an incredible number. Who else has helped us to get there? Current parents. A lot of you sitting in this room have done that. I mean, the bulk of this is coming from current parents, and that's how we do this. It would be lovely if there were a foundation that were going to give us $850,000 to help build our school. Just so if you haven't been around this before, it doesn't happen. If it's a locavore project, if we're a grassroots, commons, community-based organization, what that also means is a responsibility for getting things done the way that we want them, not how the state or the feds tell us how to do it, is we got to pay for it. The vast bulk of this has come from parents. It's come from past parents. It's come from grandparents. We have a grandparents fund tucked in here. We're trying to basically amass enough grandparents who will make contributions to amass sort of a $100,000 lead donor level. And we have 2 gifts that have gotten us to $25,000 already from grandparents. Faculty and staff, friends of the school, people who didn't put their kids here, but who have been involved in Friends for a long time, have made substantial contributions. And we will continue to solicit a variety of other directions. We're looking at grant programs, local donors who might be inclined to give, people who might want to become friends of the school. We've got an alum challenge grant that we'll be announcing in the coming days. We couldn't announce it in a silent phase because then the cat would be out of the bag. But we have a lot of people involved. So the question is, where does the rest come from? This is our challenge. There's a reason that the chairs tonight edged around just a little bit more than we usually do. And that's because it's time to kind of look at each other and look to each other on where this is going to come from and how we're going to push it over the top to $5,000 to get all of this done this summer. A couple of questions that you might ask. What happens if we can't get to 245? Will we still move forward? Yeah, we can do parts of this and not all, absolutely. We can get things done if we need to, but it gets much more expensive. We got to figure out how we're going to do that. We don't want a penny of this to come out of operations that would impact programming. Not a penny. We have a small penny that's coming out of it. We're going to refinance our loan at a lower rate. We've had that approved so that we can finance part of this ourselves, and it will increase our monthly commitment to our loan by, that's right, $210. So we looked at the numbers again, and some of you have challenged us to do that, and we did that. So we are committed to it without impacting programming. We will not take a penny away from our programming. We will only enhance it. Another question that you might have, what about the annual fund? Okay, this is actually a plug for the annual fund. Do we still have the annual fund this year? Yes. Has it already passed $100,000? Yes. Do we need to push through with the rest of it? Yes, we do. So please remember, and this is a challenging thing to hear about when you hear about a capital campaign, do we also need to continue to contribute to the annual fund? Yes, we do. This is an ask for you to think about making a contribution or finding those who might be able to contribute within your circle of friends and influence to both of those campaigns. That said, We're very careful about our budgeting, and the program will not be impacted by this in any way except enhanced by it. So if we don't meet our annual fund, that doesn't mean that teachers won't get paid, health insurance won't be met, or departmental budgets or DEB budget diminished. Not at all. Not at all. That's not how we budget here. We're very careful so that that wouldn't happen. So.
That said, we have to meet our annual fund.
So it's hot. You've listened for 50 minutes. Please join us and expand, enhance, and evolve the Vermont Commons School Campaign for Arts and Science. I want to say a couple of thanks to the Board of Trustees who have gotten this going, who got it rolling. The board, thank you so much for that work. The faculty, incredible people. They make it worth coming to this job every day, as do the students. This is a thanks to the students. Like, why are we driven to do this? It's not a job that's going to get a lot of us praise. It's because when we see you every day in classes and morning meetings, we realize like this is what we are here to do, and we want this place for you. So thank you for being so incredible. The advancement committee, you may not even realize, have put together the capital campaign, and I need to thank them specifically. George Starbuck, Mary Hamilton, Andrew Furch, who's put a lot of time, and he doesn't love necessarily be the front guy, so I'm not going to make him come up and speak, but Andrew Furch.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And Jill Strawbridge, who's here. Those four people have pushed this baby forward to where it is. And who else? The donors who committed already. Again, many of you are in this room. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is not a prospect, this is not reality, and it's because of you, and hopefully it will be because of everyone else coming in, and maybe some of you even upping what you gave before. Last couple of details. So where can I find out more of the specific stuff? Well, one, the website. Steve, is it up? Yes. We've had a shadow website that we've been building for about 2 weeks right now that has all the information here and more. It's now live, so you can go onto our website, and if you see under the About Us thing, it will talk about the capital campaign. You can look over to the right of the About Us where it talks about giving, and there's a place where you can scroll down and give to the capital campaign. So that's there. Two other things. People, if you want time to interrogate and find out more detail, PAX Coffee on Friday morning starting at 7:45. Will be a follow-up session for this. Come ask questions, find out more, dig into the detail, and if you want even more detail, or if you can't make the PAX, or you know anybody who couldn't come tonight, on Sunday in this room at 2 p.m. this Sunday, we will have another informational session, answer every question you want to know. You can call up me or Mary, find out anything that you want to know, exquisite detail. We'll tell you how much the plug in the new art room is going to cost, because yeah, we know that. And lastly, this is the brochure for the capital campaign. Each family, we only printed out a small number. We're trying to not spend extra money. That's really the point here. So this isn't like a 12-page booklet that was going to cost $15 a pop. This was the trifold that gets the job done and saves everyone money. One of these per family we'd like to hand out to you tonight to take with you. It tells you all about the campaign. And lastly, Mary has pledge sheets here. And pens. And if you would like to think about making a pledge before you leave tonight, she will give that to you. You can fill it out and give it back to her. And if you give a pledge of $500 or more, you get a Vermont Commons sweatshirt. Okay. You've been incredibly patient. We're so grateful for you to come in. That's the end of our program. We're going to turn the lights on, the music on. We're going to have food, hang out. Now it's social hour. So thank you so much.